Bryce, we had some breaking news Friday night. Kyrie Irving is going to be back playing with the Brooklyn Nets on a part-time basis. First question: how do you feel about the Nets relenting on their previous stance of not having Kyrie play? Because this is a Nets deal, not a Kyrie deal.
Um, I think I think it makes sense with the amount of problems all the teams are having. Take for example the Heat and Magic. Everybody's busted up or on COVID protocols. Lots of teams are having problems. If you're going to be calling up players from the G League, you might as well let Kyrie Irving play away games. That's
Not
how I feel about it. So I mean, it's no different than just calling in a player when you absolutely need him. And everybody could use a Kyrie Irving right now. So that's fair in my opinion.
well, I think it's bullshit that you have one stance at the beginning of the season and then I think this has to do a little more to do not with what's going on currently in the league because this has quietly been in the works for 2 weeks. I think what's going on here is they're not that good. Kevin Durant is playing his ass off. They're barely beating good teams. He needed help. So I think that's what this was about. So for them to go back on their original stance is bullshit from the team standpoint. From Kyrie's standpoint, it's absolutely fine because everybody wants to see Kyrie play. But if you grandstand the way that you did, like the team did when they made that decision, you have to stick with that decision, come hell or high water, or it makes you look weak in the long run. That's just my issue. Now you compound that
See,
with what? Oh, go ahead.
yeah, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, I was just gonna say
I'll wait.
you compound that with what's going on right now with all these COVID cases that's causing players to miss time. But I think the first reason is they're not a good team. Kevin Durant needed help when that was glaring. So they're like, okay, we'll release our stance on Kyrie. So that's what I think happened. Go ahead.
Um, I agree with everything you just said. It's just I see it as these organizations are probably seeing this year as like you have to be really fluid with how you're dealing with things. First off, Brooklyn doesn't look weaker to me because based on what we know behind the scenes, Brooklyn's been the weaker side of this situation since they brought Kyrie and Durant on. They're not doing anything different in my eyes. The thing is, yeah, they seem like they're having problems. They're not winning the types of games they should win. They're having James Harden always out. Kevin Durant's playing outrageous minutes, even though he's playing like the MVP. All these things are adding up to Brooklyn deciding to bring Kyrie back. And my whole thing is, I don't see why we just have to make a stern decision. From a basketball standpoint, at the beginning of the season, we all thought that maybe Kyrie not playing at all is better for the overall chemistry of the team. Things have not went as planned. You don't have to dig your feet in the sand. You can change course as long as Kyrie is okay with it and he's okay with playing whenever he can. Then do what you can to better your team. If you thought you were going to be okay and now you're seeing you're in a lot of trouble, don't be so ignorant to be like, "Oops, I didn't make a mistake. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing." No, you just fix it. It's a business. You, it doesn't matter if you're wrong. Just correct it. You need to win. You need to make money. That's the whole point of this. So yeah, they said these things at the beginning of the season, but the season hasn't went according to plan for anybody. So it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't make them seem weaker than they already were. I'm not saying they don't look weak, but in my eyes, it's part of the course for what Brooklyn has done since those guys have been there. So none of this surprises me really. And like I said, anybody could use a Kyrie right now whenever they could get him. So yeah, it looks like kind of bad on Brooklyn, but at the end of the day, it's not really changing anything there. So they're just desperate to have some more talent on the court. So we'll see if it changes, you know, how much they win when he can play. If the continuity and the chemistry is going to be that big of a deal, then who knows? It might not matter anyways. But for them to change course, that's not necessarily like surprising, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad move either. I mean, you have to be able to change it on the fly, especially these last few seasons.
If I'm Kyrie, I want an apology, and it doesn't have to be a public apology.
That's fair.
and they
That's
and
fair.
they may have given him that behind the scenes. But I definitely, because they took such a quote unquote hard stance for such a weak team, I definitely want an apology if I'm Kyrie Irving, because Kyrie never said he wasn't going to play. He was ready to play part time. The Nets
Okay.
were the ones that were like, no, that's not going to be feasible, and we're shutting you down. I didn't think it was going to be feasible. I believe you felt the same way, but Kyrie never said I didn't want to play. So yeah, the Nets
Okay.
definitely owe him an apology for that. Now going to the end game, will this bring them a championship? Because if not, it's still a complete and utter failure.
I still don't think they get a championship this year.
I'm with you on that too. I might have to change my finals pick, but it won't be the Brooklyn. All right.